I don't pretend to be a race car driver, but going to a racetrack really does change the whole paradigm about how you evaluate your driving. And it all comes down to saving an extra second here or another 2 seconds there. So I've come down to Hampton Downs to try my car on the track and see how I can be a better driver. The best way of learning, of course, is to have a coach sitting alongside you, a race coach. I don't have one of those with me right here, right now, but I have heard of something called MyRaceLab, which is an online application that I think might be able to help me. I suspect that there's lots of ways that a driver can get better at becoming a competent race driver. Tell me about MyRaceLab.
MyRaceLab is all about giving all drivers access to the technology that the best have. So we take that technology and we make it available for any driver.
What are race drivers, what are the problems that they suffer?
Well, the problem that we're trying to solve here is that race drivers and even your weekend warrior has all these things they could gather data from. They've got GPSs, they've got ECUs, they've got sensors all over the place, but what do you do with that? So we've identified that, yes, there's plenty of apps in the market that can tell you your times, your split times and so on. And at the other end of things, there's expensive hardware that comes with complicated software that shows you graphs and data. But there's nothing really that kind of merges those two worlds together and presents that back to you as the driver and telling you what can you do to improve. We take all that data and we do the hard stuff in the background. So we do those calculations, those algorithms to present back to you the next step on your performance journey. What is it you should do? Should you take that corner faster? Should you brake earlier? Should you take a different line? So we do that based on your performance of your car and performance of other drivers, just to try and present that to you in what do you do next? There's 100 things you could probably do to improve, maybe 200 in your case, Blue. But,
Thank you.
But what are the next 3 things you should do to improve?
Do I need a special box inside the car and stuff, or what does it need in terms of hardware?
See, the really cool thing about MyRaceLab is that we're not dependent on any particular hardware brand or manufacturer or model or gadget. So we are a software-based app that can run on a smartphone, Apple or Android, and basically you can use that phone as a data gathering device. The other cool thing we can do is we can pull in data from things like GoPros that have GPS in them and motion sensors. We can pull in data from ECUs. We can pull that data in, send it up to the cloud, and then figure out how to make either you or your car go faster.
I'm really keen to get this out on the track and see what I can learn from MyRaceLab. Well, let's get this thing running and get some air conditioning going, like every good racing car needs. I don't actually know this track very well, even though I've driven it a couple of times, but I had Greg Murphy barking in my ear, so my brain has blotted all that out as being far too painful. Okay, I think that's about as much as I'd want to go with on a car that I have to drive 100 odd kilometres in to get home tonight. I've just been using this GoPro GPS coordinates, so he can interpret that, well, I can interpret that ideally through MyRaceLab and see just how rubbish I was.
So you had some pretty good race lines there. You see through the turn 1, you came in nice and close towards the end of that apex there.
Right.
Let's say we want to compare lap 1 and 2.
Yep.
So we're looking at a 48.75 for the fastest one compared to a 49.5 for your slowest. So there's 3/4 of a second in that.
Right.
Top speed of 136 versus 134. So We can see that you're pretty consistent on the turn 1 there.
Oh, okay, yep.
Yep. And turn 2, again, nice and consistent. Maybe getting on the throttle a little bit earlier in the fastest lap. Well, here's a good example here in the turn 4. You came in a lot tighter on the turn 4 and finished that a good, what do we got here? A good half a second faster through that corner because you took the tighter line.
Right. Yeah, I can see how it's quite addictive because, as you say, you've gamified it to the point of saying, oh, okay, I can see where I'm wide, I see where I'm tight. What difference does that make in terms of timing? For people who are really interested in this and really, you know, focused on achieving their best and improving all the time, I can see it's just a huge bonus. I got a feeling that there might be somebody else around that might be interested in this too. And I've just seen down in the concourse here, I think it's Mike Edie from Track Time Driving Academy. So, I mean, Mike's a driving instructor.
Yep.
I wonder how he's going to respond to something like this. Do you think he's going to be threatened at all by it? Or?
I think he's going to love it.
Was there a mic in the house?
Hello?
You
looking for me?
Yeah, come on here.
Come on, join the party.
I've just had a little play on the track.
Yep.
And Andrew's very clever. MyRaceLab has come up with this sort of information.
So you want to go faster or slower?
I want to go faster. Obviously, who doesn't?
Okay.
Yep.
So let's use what we've captured here. So straight away, turn 1, you need to turn in later.
Right.
And you need to get more accurate on the apex.
Right, okay.
And you need to exit wider. So you need to square off a late
that
apex.
camera, open that up a
Open
bit.
it up.
Yep,
So that'll
gotcha.
be exit speed.
Right, okay.
So I reckon there's a 10th there.
Is this one of my good laps I'm looking at here?
This is your best lap.
Oh,
Okay.
geez.
Yep, so that's the little straight between. We'll
Yep.
go to the turn 2 there.
Again, use more road on the exit.
On the outside,
So
yeah.
you're not letting the car fly
Right,
on the exit.
right.
So there's another 10th. I'm going to add these up.
Right.
Yep, nice. Now
Next
this is
turn 3. Well, that's the big one.
okay. So this one here.
Coming way too early, as far as I can see.
Yeah.
Well-
What we could try is going to be very hard, but we'll try double apex.
Yeah.
Apex here,
Yeah.
mid-track, late apex late, and let the car flow. But through there, pull a slightly taller gear.
Right.
So 3rd, and then short shift to 4th, and just roll on. When you see the exit, just roll on the power. And now monkey corner, the last corner 4. Were you going? We go to the cafe there, were you? Where were you going?
Oh, you're sounding like Murphy now. I've gone off you.
Okay, so approach it wider.
Yep.
Ignore the first apex, touch the second one, and run the ripple strip. It's just little adjustments here and there.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So, okay, well, I'll try and take all that on board.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Take 2. Right, let's go and see what damage is.
So the last lap was about 48.75, and Mike gave you some training tips, told you where to turn in and where to brake and so on. You've cut it down to 47.25. That's a good 1.5 seconds.
I'd say it's much better straight away. Look how wide you are there.
Right, yeah.
So
using-
there's more exit speed.
Using the whole track, that's good.
Yep.
Coming into the second turn,
Beautiful.
again,
Perfect.
using the whole thing.
Perfect. Hey. Say that once. Oh, sorry, I didn't catch that. Did you get perfect?
Wasn't not bad for you, I was to say. And I think the good thing here is you can actually see exactly what you did.
Yes.
And I can explain to you your apex point, your exit point, and you
Yeah.
go, yep. And the turning point, look at that. Pretty good.
You've done well.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the addiction that this thing can cause because you're always chasing that extra, you know, trying to get all the corners right, which of course is natural,
Yep.
you know, race craft. But to see it visually like that and to see the output of it against your time, particularly to break it down by corner or by sectors, it just makes it so much more tangible for some numpty like me.
Yeah.
So what you could do is you could go home and say, look, I don't believe Mike. I'm going to look at all the data, and you'll see your line, your entry speed, your exit speed.
Yeah.
And it doesn't lie. You go,
That's right.
actually, that line does work for me.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So then you log it away and come back next time and you just drive that line, you know that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. I'll borrow one of your cars next time.
1.5 seconds off after just a few top tips from Mike there in the MyRaceLab app. That's pretty good.
Good.
Well done.
Well, very good. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for your instruction and your tolerance and expertise in decoding all that data. And thanks for turning it into something that actually someone like me can understand and get sense of. Well, that was all very interesting. Really appreciate the effort that's gone into designing MyRaceLab because even for a novice track driver like me, it seems to make the metrics that you get from your GPS timing device, be it a GoPro or an iPhone or a more specialized GPS device, it just makes that information more palatable, more easily understood. It sort of gamifies the whole thing. You can see your line on a track layout, you can see where you're slow, you can see where you're fast, and you can see the difference that you can make to shave time off. I would suggest having a look at myracelab.com. download the app, play with it, see if it what it can do, and yeah, I think it's great.